Question Reality 14. How do you know those people aren't NPCs? It's a numbers game. Ever hear sales guys say, "Hey, it's a numbers game"? Or guys that talk about dating, "Hey, it's a numbers game." And I've always thought, yeah, but you still have to make the sale, or someone still has to buy, or she still has to say yes. The few times I've run advertisements, sure enough, I would get results. But how? Who are these mysterious buyers out there? I saw an advertisement at a movie theater once. It was so good. It read, "An amazing thing happens when you don't advertise. Nothing." So I wonder if advertising companies have some kind of a clearinghouse that buys whatever product you advertise with them just to give you that 1% return. You know, they say for every 100 letters you send out, you should expect 1%, one return. Well, think about a credit card company. They offer you 1 to 3% cash back on all purchases. So the advertising company, if they're getting 100% of your money and giving you, because really there's nothing physical that they're selling you a service, and they give you one, and they purchase back 1%, it's still in their favor to do that. So maybe that's where the mysterious 1% come from. But I think it's more fun to think that there might be some NPCs out there that are doing all the buying. Or, and this is the most exciting, is if this is like a law, a mathematical calculating rule built into the game that always returns 1% on all advertisements. Or perhaps there's like an overseeing group of the game that always ensures that at least 1% return always occurs. Kind of like at casinos where they kind of guarantee you're eventually going to win the slot machine to keep you playing. When I get suspicious, when people talk about the weather, food and restaurants, talking points directly from the media, not just politics or sports, but also other predefined opinions, Captain Obvious things. When you ask them direct questions and they only offer vague answers and say vague, non-specific, non-consequential things. And when you press them for specific answers and they continue with vague generalities, is when I start to wonder, am I encountering an NPC? Or is this a real-life human being completely programmed, incapable of an individual opinion? Where is everybody going? In cities, there are always cars driving, people walking, customers in stores, people walking the mall. And if we traced all of them, would they all wind up at actual locations and have homes? Do you wonder how all of these people go about their daily lives 24 hours a day and how everyone is kept under perfect control? You could argue that in small towns, you don't always see cars and people because maybe only the cities are where the NPCs live. Imagine if you did trace them all and they all went to the same building, the building where all the clones are kept. Sociology and mass communication. How could they know all these predictable behaviors would result? It's almost as if someone knows that there is a percentage of people that aren't real autonomous people with minds of their own. Because have you ever been in sociology class or even psychology class and they describe to you these predictable patterns of behavior by inserting different stimuli, and you're like, how can you make those statements that the people will behave as such, and then they do? How long have NPCs existed? There was a period of time where I behaved somewhat like an NPC, but there was a moment where I discovered I could have an opinion outside of the group. When I was around 10 or 12, I was leaving a movie theater with a group of people, and we saw a movie that I enjoyed that the newspaper reviews said was a bad movie, and the group of people I was with were all lamenting that the movie sucked. And I inquired, what made this movie suck? Because I enjoyed it so much and was laughing the entire time. They offered generic reasons like, it was all cliche, and other generic reasons. They didn't offer any specific scenes or anything from the actual movie. It was all just things like cliche. But I enjoyed the movie so much that I wasn't going to just go along with the groupthink. I fought for the movie to receive honor, And I've been fighting the group ever since and have had my own opinion ever since, and it has been exhilarating. But I do admit that I probably forced my way a little too hard sometimes. But I'll be damned if I adopt an NPC opinion programmed by the media. And there are consequences when you don't go along with the group. But that moment of discovering that I could have my own opinion was exciting, and it changed something on the inside. And I've never wanted to adopt someone else's opinion ever again. Now you may think, you were a follower when you were 8 years old. Okay, go ahead and throw your snicker at me. That's fine. I needed to learn the world first before I could then formulate your own opinion. It's kind of like when they say, hey man, you need to learn how to play the music notes and read the music before you could start doing your own freestyles. What I feel bad about is there are some people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and 70s, and 80s that still have not developed their own opinion, their own conviction. Everything they know comes from the TV, comes from the group, comes from their clique. They just go with the flow and they don't develop their own positions. It's their choice. But I do see some people have an opinion that's inside that they want to express, and they just have fear. Fear of the group. Fear to be shunned. What percentage of people do you think are NPCs? 1%? 10%? 50%? 90%? If it is a numbers game, how could they guarantee it? Does the advertising company have a clearinghouse? Credit cards offer 1 to 3% cash back. Or are there NPCs out there that are programmed to buy? Telemarketing wouldn't exist if the numbers game wasn't true. Or would it? How do we know everyone is a real person? It is very mean-spirited and insensitive and demeaning to call someone an NPC, so don't do it. But it doesn't mean they aren't one. It will never be revealed, even if they do exist, because part of the game is you can't talk about how the game works. I have no proof that NPCs exist. Unfortunately, many people that behave like NPCs have been through so much psychological trauma and indoctrination. Some of it isn't their fault, and we have to be mindful of that and try to help them. But some of them are so programmed that they are actually real humans, but they behave like NPCs. It's tragic. Occupations require people to behave like NPCs. Do you remember when we all started adopting talking non-casual, non-conversational? There's different kinds of it. There's the monotone. There's the over-the-top customer service sounding. And there's also making sentences, imperative or declarative sentences that sound like you're asking a question. What are some examples of NPCs that you've seen? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.